Welcome back to the evening edition. This is Lambert Brown, and we're coming to you live from the studios of News Talk 93 FM right here on the UWI Mona campus. We're going to be joined by Professor David Rowe. Reports come out that Buju Banton, Mark Myrie, is seeking to retain a new lawyer to represent him in this ongoing saga where he was tried, and jury declared, tried again, convicted, appeal, and is likely to be getting more sentence from the appeal than if he had not appealed. To help us discuss the situation now is Professor David Rowe, who have long put a view which might have left Buju in a different position if his advice was taken. Good evening, Professor Rowe.
How are you, Senator Lambert?
I am fine, my friend. Are you?
It's always a privilege and a pleasure to speak with you and with your Jamaican audience.
And your name was being called in the halls of the Industrial Dispute Tribunal today, but we will talk about that off here.
Okay, sir.
Good. And with very positive, very positive thing. The Buju Banton case, new lawyer, what is this? I thought there was a trial and a conviction and a appeal.
Well, as you know, Mr. Myrie's appeal to the U.S. Court of Appeals in Atlanta on federal drug charges ended up in the judge reversing the lower court's decision to throw out the gun charge and confirming the conviction on the original charges.
So let us see if we recall it. The jury had found him guilty of the gun charge,
yes,
but the judge said he was not
guilty.
going to, and the judge said, I'm not going to accept what the jury said on the gun charge. And threw it out,
correct.
Didn't sentence him on it.
No, he did not sentence him on the gun charge in a controversial decision because under the Pinkerton doctrine, the gun conviction was justifiable based on the jury's decision. So the judge's decision, and you remember at the time, I thought it was highly odd that the judge did not convict him, did not sentence him on the drug charge.
And the gun charge.
I didn't think it was consistent with federal law. Now, what has happened is that the Court of Appeal has upheld the original conviction and has also said that he should be sentenced on the gun charge. So now he is looking at 15 years possibly, rather than the 10 years that he was looking at originally.
Let me ask you this, Professor David Rowe. If Buju had not appealed, would the prosecution be able to make that cross appeal and bring in the gun charge?
Well, very good question. No, under the rules, a cross appeal could only have occurred if Buju had appealed. And at the time, you remember, I had suggested that he just take his 10 years and walk away. But yet he appealed, and that has now put him in worse circumstances. He is now looking quite likely at an enlarged sentence. Somewhere, I think he's going to get somewhere between 12 and 15 years when the judge resentences him.
When is that scheduled? Do you know?
Let me see if I have the date. The date that is currently set on the docket is October the 30th. Whether or not with his new attorney, Chako Lumumba, might try to determine and get a later date because he would not be as familiar with the case as David Marcus had been. So his new attorney might seek some additional time. But if the docketed time is abided by, October the 30th will be the resentencing date. And as I said, I think on that date, Buju Banton will receive an additional 5 years to his sentence.
So, and it's October 30th that would be due. Now, what
Yes, sir.
what can this new lawyer do? Can he file a new appeal, or can he go and seek mitigation at the sentencing? In other words, try to get...
Well, the only procedural route for the new lawyer to take is a appeal to the United States Supreme Court. Now, he might also try to vacate, he might try to do a motion for new trial, but I believe that the court will rule, if he tries to do that, that the motion is moot, and it has already been ruled upon. His best chance is to get a petition for certiorari before the United States Supreme Court to look at the U.S. Court of Appeal decision. However, having regard to the defense that has already been run, I do not think that the new lawyer is going to be able to get any relief from Buju.
You think Marcus did the most that he could have done in the circumstances and very little more is left?
Well, I did not agree with Marcus's approach. I think Marcus used him as a guinea pig for the entrapment defense. I think that he should have taken a plea because of the large amount of technological evidence against him, and the fact that not only was the technological evidence audio, it was also visual. Had he taken an early plea, in my view, the case would have been resolved in the 24 months, 18 to 24 month area, and he would already have been out. By taking the matter to trial and earning his rumored $400,000 per trial fee, what has really happened is that a lot of money has been paid to the attorney, but at the end of the process, Mr. Myrie is going to be looking at 15 years and
more legal fees.
Really has faced a string. When he's looking at 10 years now, he's probably looking at an additional fine, and he has faced a string of courtroom defeats.
And more legal fees.
And yes, I'm sure that Mr. Lumumba, although he has done some amount of high-profile pro bono work, I'm sure that Mr. Lumumba is not doing this for free. As you know, a number of concerts were held to raise money for Mr. Myrie. So Mr. Myrie's attorneys have always been well paid. Some commentators think that Mr. Myrie's attorneys have received more than $1 million so far, which is very unfortunate for Mr. Myrie's children, because I'm sure that they are not being supported as
Prof, we don't know
as they could be.
We don't know that. What we do know is that legal fees are expensive. And this is a lesson for all of us, that when we look at the options face us and the fact that the prosecutors there have had a very good track record of conviction, these are things that should have been taken into account.
Also, the case against them was quite strong. The case against him was very strong, even although there was a informant who has earned a lot of money from the federal government. The informant, on record, has received over $3 million of income from the work that he has done for the federal government. But that shows that he's a good informant.
So he has a history of ratting on people.
Yes, he has a good record of being able to make out cases against individuals with whom he's dealing drugs.
Prof, we're out of time. And
that's the point that should have been taken into account when the decision was being made.
It would appear that some legal tactics and strategy went wrong in Buju's case, and he's the victim of it. He's the one who is suffering. But let me ask you this, Prof, as we are up on the news. The Republican Convention, National Convention, is taking place in Florida, in Tampa. Are you hearing that today some people, some of the delegates there threw peanuts on a black camera woman from CNN and saying that's how
Yes,
to feed
a
animal?
black woman. Yes, she was derided as in what is a terrible racial incident, for which I understand the Republican Party has already apologized. But in one of the worst
And coming in the
racial
context
incidents,
of people saying Romney need to use race to win, that can't be good for the Republican Party.
well, the Tea Party, I think the very right wing portion of the Tea Party is involved, unfortunately, in race baiting and in an anti-black approach.
Prof,
They think that black people are the recipients of welfare.
Obama is not American, they said. But Prof, we're out of time, absolutely. It's up to the news. We talk again. Thank you very much. Long time.
It's a great privilege to speak with you.
And I'd love to talk to you about, for example, KD Knight being resisted as a lawyer for a client in Bahamas. But next time we talk about things like that.
I think that's shameful. Because he's one of the best lawyers in Jamaica.
And the Caribbean.
The Bar Council approved him. I was very surprised.
Prof, you take care. We're out of time. To the news we go. After the news we come back and talk about the KSSC and collecting fees for trade activities.